So I'm glad that there are still a few people here in the room. Some of you have been here in the morning when I was introducing the CompMS COSI. As I said, this is a rather informal group of people working in computational mass spectrometry that tries to bring together computational and also experimental researchers in order to bridge the gap between the different fields and communities that we have. It's a joint activity of UPO, ISCB, and Metabolomics Society, and we would like to get all of you involved. And what I basically need from you is also some input. Bill and I have brainstormed a bit about topics that we should discuss, but you should feel free to also throw in other topics. I would really appreciate if this session could be a bit interactive, because what we're trying to do here is to plan on how we can bring this whole community forward, how we can make computational mass spectrometry more visible. You might have seen that there are larger rooms than ours here. We are I think from number of registered users, we are one of the two smallest COSIs at ISCB. We are also looking for volunteers. So next year's ISMB will be in a very nice location, Montreal, Canada, July 12th to 16th. And as you've seen today in the morning, if you were there, this whole COSI track is a group effort. So we would very much appreciate if there's some of you who are interested, who have ideas on how to make this better, how to make this more a community effort. If you have ideas for specific topics, if you have ideas for keynote speakers that you would like to see at next year's event, if you have ideas on what we should doing instead of having talks, we might also have a podium discussion, we might have panels. There are many ways in which we can do that. Basically, the beauty of ISMB and of these COSIs is we have all the freedoms in the world, how we're basically given a day to do something fun together. And that can be talks and papers, but that can be something else as well. So we're looking for volunteers there. Bill is also organizing a bioinformatics workshop at ISMS next year in Houston, Texas. And he's also looking for people who want to get involved and help to prepare this meeting. Just give us a shout, grab us, even if you don't dare to speak up right now, send us an email. Any way of communication would be good. We're also looking for social media wizards who can boost our presence in the social media sphere. If that is something you want to do, we are also looking for people who want to get involved in the CompMS website, want to help us with posting events, job offers. Again, please step forward if that is something you want to do. Then I have a few points of discussion, and now I really need your input. First of all, I would like to get some feedback on today's session so far. There's still something coming, but I think you got a pretty good impression. I was wondering whether you thought the ratio between the presentations, proceedings, and abstracts, invited presentations, proceedings, and abstract was right, or whether we should have more of one or more of the other. And perhaps some of you have an idea and would like to give us some input on how to make that better next time.
I can bring you the microphone if you have thoughts.
I would like to, I mean, I'm coming from the proteomics community, and I've kind of delved into the bioinformatics part of it. And ultimately, I think that proteomics is not going to escape bioinformatics. I mean, people who are doing proteomics now, they should actually do more computational biology, and they should know about all these methods that are around. And most of the proteomics people who are doing like experiments, they usually don't know what is around, and in fact, they don't have the expertise. So what I kind of lacked in this session, and I have to be honest here, is that I thought, okay, why are the proteomics people here? Why is there not more of this kind of community that could also participate in this session? But maybe that's a naive approach, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to diagnose or make a statement about people who are not there.
So inviting people who are doing more like methods development in proteomics, is that what you're suggesting? Okay.
Yeah, I think we had more of that last year, to be honest. So that's a bit unfortunate. We also invited some of those people, but we had a few invited speakers from that area who unfortunately could not attend today.
Yeah, so I said something similar last year from my field, which is metabolomics. And so in response, he made me review papers for the proceedings, which is fine. So you can do that.
You kindly offered to review papers and you got your wish.
So that's fine, I did that, I'll do it again. But I think it also relates to the third point about the social media wizards, because I think you and I are from a more community that needs these bioinformaticians, who need these software engineers, and they're not connecting at the moment. So I think that needs to come under that level of a strategy for that, because I think they would come if they thought they would get something out of it. But right now, they don't.
Yes, I think one of the challenges is that for a proteomics person, this is a big conference with a fairly expensive registration, and 1 day out of 5 that's on the mass spec, so that's one of the invited people are the ones that we might be able to get.
So how does everyone feel about the ratios between invited and proceedings? Should we have more abstract presentations? I mean, right now it was basically half invited presentations, but does anybody have any strong feelings on that, how we should change that?
I saw one shrug, so I guess.
Yeah. So one thing I can say is if you could easily increase the number of proceedings presentations here by submitting your work to ISMB, so I can only encourage that. The number of submissions we had for computational mass spectrometry was not where I would like it to be. I mean, less review work, okay, but we could have a few more submissions, I think.
One thing to know about the submissions process is that all the papers are reviewed just for quality first, and then afterwards they get subdivided into the different topics. So, you know, the fact that we did have 3 proceedings papers means we're getting high quality papers. That's good. Actually, 3 is a lot for this number of people. There were much larger COSIs that had 2, for example. But I also think, like Oliver, that there's always room for more, so it's good. Yeah.
Thanks. I just want to add, I think there is an emerging direction of combining mass spectrometry data and genomics data, and it was not covered, and maybe we can involve more genomics people here, because its use is very useful for both proteomics and metabolomics, especially for discovering something new. And there are relative fields which are close to this one, but I think these guys are not in this COSI, but in some genomics COSIs.
Or we can track them over. We could just tell them to give a presentation here. I mean, it's kind of, you know, we can do that. But
how to
if we have suggestions on what would be good invited speakers, that, you know, because they also need to be able to cover both sides of that. Because I think if we would put a pure genomics speaker here into the COSI, they wouldn't have the best audience. It needs to be someone who actually can do something that relates to mass spectrometry in a convincing manner. But if you have suggestions for speakers that we should invite next time, I think that's always welcome. We're trying to collect that and then have a list where we put those names on.
And I do think we've talked about that idea last year also. One thing that we have done is try to monitor other, sometimes abstracts get submitted and they're assigned to some other COSI, and then we say, oh, that could also be ours. And so we've made some attempts to grab some from others as well, when we can, to try to, find things that cross the boundaries.
It's not that easy because in many cases these larger COSIs tend to just grab these talks and then it's not so easy to get them to COSI. It's also more attractive to submit to a larger COSI that has a room where 900 people in it than CompMS.
When you mentioned speakers, I mean, how close should these speakers then be to MS, right? In the proteomics field, if you think of Wolfgang Huber, for example, they deal with proteomics data as method for specific problems you can solve with proteomics data. But of course, they're not expert in MS.
We are open to that. Yeah, I mean, not all of the talks that we had today were really pure mass spectrometry. On the contrary, it's covering a whole range, and I think that openness is needed. We're not here to talk about the technicalities. We're also interested in the applications and how the tools we develop are of importance in other areas. So that's as far as I'm concerned, that is totally fine.
Any other suggestions or comments, things that you'd like to see next year, or things that would have made today better?
So another issue I wanted to discuss is the topic of the poster flash presentations. As you know, at 4:40 we will have the poster flash presentations where everyone has like a 2-3 minute slot to present their poster. Is that something that you're interested in, or is that something that you think we should rather fill with presentations?
I've also seen it work quite well at other venues. How many people do we have signed up for today's?
There's 16 posters, and I got 12, or I think by now 13 presentations. So most of them sort of want to do it, and I think it's going to be a fun session later on. Okay. So nobody's screaming, please, no posters. Okay, that's fine. That's all I wanted to know. The other thing that some of the COSIs are doing, if you're involved in some of the COSIs, you know that they also organize a social event, a COSI dinner. Would that be something that you're interested in? You know, basically the COSIs reserve a table somewhere and then go out for dinner. So if there is not, but if there were a COSI dinner tonight, who would come along?
This is not a commitment.
We can do that spontaneously, but I think.
But maybe for next year we should.
Yeah,
schedule
we should try to schedule one. I
like
think because that would help to also build this community.
Yeah.
About this social event or COSI dinner, I have a student point of view because I'm in the 3 year of the PhD, and I know nobody from this communities because I'm from transcriptomics before. And it could be a real interest for us to know everybody at this at a point like that. Because when I searched 3 days ago for someone who does NS and mass spectrometry, I have found nobody. And it's quite difficult to communicate with someone who has the same point of interest in this community when you don't know everybody.
Yeah.
So this type of social event could be nice for students and young researchers, I think.
Yeah, I think if you had a beer with someone, it's much easier to sort of follow up with other discussions.
Well, and maybe we can facilitate that after the poster flash presentations, you know, if we move, because I think they're all co-located, right? The posters,
Yes.
and there's drinks there. So
At least we can have drinks together
yeah.
before the posters. Okay, those were all the topics we had prepared. Are there other suggestions? Are there, you know, it's your COSI. You're the COSI. It's not just me and Bill standing here. It's you guys, and you can sort of shape it, and you should shape it. So if you have suggestions of what we should do differently, please let us know.
We'll be here, and yeah, I think it's time for break, and after that, come back for the flash presentations, and then posters.
There's one more comment.
Or not.
I just wanted to ask, this is my first time at the ISCB, is there something like a social community, like online, that you have like entire groups, LinkedIn groups, Twitter group? I don't know how it works here with the ISCB, first of all.
So ISCB as a whole has, you know, there's social media presence and so on, and there's a student group. But the COSIs are all, it's kind of a federation. And so each of the COSIs is self-organized, and so we do have a Google group, which is not particularly active, and you know, we're not particularly good at social media, which is the kind of thing we were asking for help with. I think we could do better on that for sure. So.
Because I think that it would be really cool to have like a LinkedIn group, basically, where exactly like, because you were saying that you sometimes just don't know who to actually talk with, right, regarding the mass spectrometry. So if you know, okay, there's this LinkedIn group, all the COSI people that you met.
Well, I think we can get that done before the poster flash presentation if you just create one and we post that to the CompMS mailing list.
Sure. Okay. I mean, damn it, I have work to do.
You don't have to, but you can.
No, we would really appreciate that. Any other comments? Wishes? Then let me one last time appeal to all the volunteers who don't dare to come out right now. Send us an email. We really appreciate your help. Claire. Okay, thank you so much. All right, then that's all I had. Thank you very much.
We'll see you in 40 minutes.